हरि ओम्। वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste friends. Team Param Vedanta welcomes you all to session 11 for the study of Vaitatya Prakaranam, the second chapter of Mandukya Upanishad with Karika. We are in the midst of studying Vaitatya Prakaranam. The sole purpose and topic of this chapter is to assert Mithyatvam or Vaitatyam of this waking world, just like that of dream world. Gaudapadacharya has been asserting this fact with various logics and reasonings, apart from responding to the questions, doubts, objections, and counter theories. From the verse 4 up to the 18th verse, Gaudapada is establishing that the waking world is also like the dream world. He wants us to extend the experience of dream experience to waking world also. We have come up to 8th verse, and today let us take up verses from 9th verse to 13th verse and further cement our understanding the Vaitatyam of this waking world. To explain these Karikas, we have Srimati Chetana, Dr. Sanjay Banakal, Srimati Vidya Prabhu, and Sri Shiva Kumar. Dr. Tima Pegde sir, as always, will give us the deeper meanings and insights of this Karika. Before Dr. Hegde sir gives us the introduction to the day's session, Srimati Apeksha will take us through the Karikas we learned in our previous session last week. Over to you, Apeksha.
Hari Om. Hari Om, sir. So, just to do the recap of the last session that we did, we understood, right? We are now doing the Karikas from 4 to 8. I'm going to do the recap. In the previous Karikas, we understood how about the Swapna Prapancha, the dream world. In the 4th to 8th Karikas, we understood where Gaudapada Acharya says, dream world objects are unreal. So too are the objects of the waking world. So just to summarize, I think this joke is the perfect one which has been given by Swamiji, and if we can understand this joke, no, the entire recap would be very easy for you to understand. So what is the joke here? So you look at this scenario. A man in the waking world gets drunk and starts seeing double. So now he drank one bottle of whiskey. He has drank one bottle of whiskey. He then asks the bartender how much he has drank. Bartender lies and says 2 bottles is for rupees 200. The man says, no problem, and hands him rupees 100. Right? So this joke will actually help you understand Advaitam, and you can read it, with peace and ponder about it. So if from the standpoint of the dream body, from the man's perspective, because he's dreaming, he's seeing double, the dream is very real, and he is handing 100 rupees, but he thinks he's handing 200 rupees. From the standpoint of the waker, the bartender, this world is again very real because he's saying it's 200 rupees. He's lying, but still he feels that, it's 200 rupees. But from the standpoint of Jnani, this is all mithya. Whatever is happening is all mithya, and he can just laugh about it. Next slide, sir. So Gaudapada Acharya says, dream world objects are unreal. So do are the objects of the waking world. But the question here arises is, if both are mithya, is there any difference between the two? Obviously, there's a difference, right? Dream world, you are projecting inside. In differences in the dream, you are projecting inside the body. You are thinking you're gone. And in a waking state, you are projecting outside your body, right? In the waking world, you're seeing around the things around you and you think it's very real. It's outside your body. So then why do we say that the Jagrit Prapancha, that is the waking world, is mithya? It's a lie. It has space and time as a property, right? You can see things, the space is there, the time is there. But why then again is the mithya? So two reasons were given. Next slide, sir. First reason, we'll take Shankaracharya's reason. It is basically a Vyapti Jnanam, that is generalization based on the observation. Shankaracharya ji just said it is mithya because you are able to see it. See, it is just a generalization that he has taken from the dream. Everything that one sees in the dream, you're able to see is unreal. So everything that you are able to see in this waking world, that is also mithya. Because whatever is an object of experience, it can only be proven to exist by the subject, right? The subject has to be there for the object to exist, but the subject does not depend upon the object. So for this, I'll take a very, very simple example. The clay and the pot that you're seeing here, right? The pot is mithya, right? It has, like you can see, this pot is mithya. It is made out of clay. That clay is the satyam. So whatever has dependent existence, this pot exists because of the clay. Existence is mithya, and whatever has independent existence is satyam. So what do you mean by independent existence? What is satyam? Shankaracharya ji simply gave a very simple, line about it. Whatever is existent but cannot be experienced, that is our Atma. The consciousness that cannot be experienced, that is Satyam. So it is existing, but you cannot experience it, that is Satyam. Next slide, sir. Now, the second reason was given by Gaudapada Acharya ji himself. And the reason that he gives is because whatever you see in the waking world is finite. That is why it has to be mithya. So all objects which have limited existence between the manufacturing date and the expiry date, right? We all have a manufacturing date and we all have an expiry date also. It is all mithya. So therefore, taking this example of pot only, I think this one example, if we just deeply understand, we'll understand the entire recap. The pot here is mithya because it was made at a certain point date and it will be destroyed at a certain date. So the truth is that the clay will always be there, but the pot is just mithya. It has only very short seeming existence, just like our body. So this world is also like a pot only. Before creation, it was not there. After destruction, pralayam, it will not be there. But what will its isness, its existence is borrowed from Brahman. Consciousness in will always be there. So that is why the waking universe is mithya, just like dream universe. So conclusion is that only. Next slide, sir. But there were a couple of objections that were also raised. So the first objection that was raised was that the Swapna Prapancha is real due to its uniqueness, because we all see it, right? So in whatever we see in the dream world, something unique things also come in those dreams, right? Which we have never experienced before, which we have never seen. So how? So it has to be real, right? Where did they come from? Right? So the answer that was given by Gaudapada Acharya ji was that all experiences, ordinary or extraordinary or unique ones, are still all observed objects and dependent on the observer. As soon as we wake up, it's gone. So whether it's unique or not, it is still dependent on the observer. So even those people who reside in heaven, the unique objects of heaven are dependent on the heavenly observer only. So everywhere you will just see all the objects that are there. Unique objects are also dream dependent on the subject of the dream, whoever is dreaming only. So therefore, since it is dependent, it is considered as mithya. The second reason, objection that was given was, so uniqueness cannot be considered as real. Now, next slide, sir. The second objection that was given, okay, we understood that dreams are unreal, right? Okay, dreams are unreal because it is dependent on the observant. But this Jagrat Prapancha is very real. Why? Because you can see whatever we are seeing is very useful. The usefulness should be, or utility should be, the criteria of reality. For example, the water that we are drinking, it's real. Okay, mirage water that you see, it's a dream. We understand it's unreal. It is useless to see, right? Mirage is just a dream projection only. So whatever is useful should be considered as the reality. So here the answer that was given was, okay, Jagrat objects are useful. All right. Understood. But they are only useful in Jagrat Avastha. So for example, if you're seeing a pot of clay, which I used the example in the previous, right? You can only use that pot of clay when you are awake, right? But if you go in the dream, can you use that pot of clay, what you saw in your Jagrat Avastha? No, you cannot. Right? Similarly, the clay, pot of clay that we see in Swapna Avastha, you cannot use it in Jagrat Avastha when you are there, right? So vice versa. So it's true. So Jagrat Avastha objects are only useful in Jagrat Avastha. The dream objects are only useful in dream avastha, right? So according to this definition, the reality is relative. It cannot be considered as eternal. So therefore, impermanence alone must be the criteria for reality. So only the eternal thing that is real is consciousness, which is always there, which will always be there before creation. Once the creation was done and after destruction also, it will always be there. Hari Om, sir.
Thank you very much, Apeksha, for giving us an excellent recap of the difficult Karika that we studied in the last class, with special emphasis on Jagan Mithya. The fact that this world is unreal is extremely difficult to believe. We will not be able to convince anybody, but through this study, let us see if we can convince ourselves. Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. We are studying Mandukya Upanishad. The Upanishad part is over. Of all the Upanishads, this is the most difficult. Upanishads themselves are difficult. The Mandukya is even more difficult. And in Mandukya, we are trying to emphasize the Vaitatya Prakaranam, which talks about Jagan Mithya. Unless we have the grace of the Lord, and that is why, although the strong focus is on Advaita, our teachers emphasize again and again to become upasakas, to bring in prayer, because without the prayers of the Lord, these karikas may be only of intellectual, but may not be transformative. We need transformation. We need to be able to see that the world is not so real, and therefore, I'm not going to invest too much in this world, and whatever happens to this world, including my body and mind, cannot affect me, because now I am of a higher order of reality. Let us use one prayer, and this is a very common prayer. Agajanana Padmarkam Gajananam Aharnisham Anekadantam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. A very simple prayer, but we have Gajanana, Agajanana repeated. Anekadantam, Ekadantam. So sometimes these words are very confusing. Let us go through the word meaning and see how beautiful Sanskrit poetry is in bringing about this wonderful prayer. Aga means that which does not move. Agaja is that who is born from that which does not move, or the mountain. We are referring to Parvati. Ananam means face. Parvati's face, who's like a lotus. Arkam means the sun. So Parvati's face is like a lotus which blooms when the sun shines. And who is the sun for her? Gajanana. Gaja means elephant. Ananam means face. So whenever she sees the face of her son, Ganesha or Gajananam, her face, who is born of the Aga, of the mountain, and whose face is like a lotus in bloom because of the sunshine. So Agajanana Padmarkam, Gajanana Aharnisham. Aharnisham means day and night. Now, it is not Aneka Dantam. It is Aneka Damtam. Bhaktana means to all of us who are the devotees, Anekadam, limitless. Tam, to them, Lord Ganesha gives limitlessly, gives in plenty. And what is the description for Lord Ganesha? Ekadantam, the one who has a single tusk, upasmahe, we pray. So this is a beautiful prayer which goes like this. Aga, that which does not move, or mountain. Agaja, one who's born of the mountains, that is Parvati. Padma Arka, that means whose face is like a lotus which blooms on the sunshine. Anana means face. Aneka Dam, the one who gives everything, one who gives abundantly, Tam, to them. Upasmahe, we worship Bhaktana. I'll make that prayer once again. Agajanana Padmarkam, Gajananam Aharnisham, Anekadantam Bhaktanam, Ekadantam Upasmahe. Lord Ganesha, please help us to understand these extremely difficult karikas so that Vaitatyam, or the unreality of the word, may sink into our heads. Whenever you say tata, tatastu, may that happen. The word tat means that. Tata means thatness. Vaitatya means that which lacks thatness, that which lacks reality, that which is unreal. The other word is prapancha upashama. That means this world is not so real. It does not come under the category of sat, which means it is existent. It does not come under the category of asat, which is non-existent. That which is existent cannot be negated. That which is not existent need not be negated. But that which appears to be existent, you see a beautiful rainbow. Now, this rainbow was not there some time ago. It has suddenly appeared. After some time, it will not be there. Now, these are, the whole prapancha is like that. When we go to sleep, this whole world disappears. That which appears and disappears cannot be so real. And that is why this whole Vaitatya Prakaranam begins by giving us a logical analysis of why dream is unreal in Karikas 1 to 3. And now we are from 4 to 18, the most important part of Vaitatya Prakaranam, where Gaudapadacharya tries his best to convince us. And I hope we are convinced through the Lord's intervention to be very certain this world is not as real as I think it is. So our job is to understand mithyatvam of the universe. Don't make too much of investment on this body, this mind, my family, my possessions, my friend, and or my profession. All of them are mithya. There is a nice verse in Manisha Panchakam. Sashvan Nashwarameva Vishwam Akhilam. This world is Nashwaram. This world is constantly perishing because it is not something substantial. Therefore, wise people don't invest on a perishable product, which is this world. How did Gaudapadacharya say that the dream world is unreal? It is all our experience. When we wake up, the dream world disappears. That means through Anubhuti, we know that the dream world is not real. Through Shruti and Yukti, he uses a quotation from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So he gives us Shruti, that means the Vedas, to say the dream world is not real. And Yukti also, Swapna Prapancha Mithya, why? Uchita Desha Kala Abhavat. The whole dream world is within my mind, and the world contains so many objects, and my mind does not have an enough amount of space, or there is no time to travel, and therefore, from logically, the dream world is unreal. Experience-wise, unreal. Scripture-wise, unreal. Now, using this Vyapti, because the world of my dream is a world of my experience, this world that I see is also something I experience. While I am in dream, the dream is absolutely real. Only when I wake up, I say it is a dream. So too, when I feel whatever I experience, Gaudapadacharya says, Adi Shankara says, whatever I experience is not real. Gaudapadacharya gives another thing, that which is not there in all three periods of time. That means that which is not there, that which comes and goes like a rainbow, is impermanent. Now let us analyze anything experienced is mithya. So difficult to believe, Normally we would say, if I see it, I will believe. But Vedanta says, and it can prove even scientifically, if I have to see something, I have to see it through the instrument of my eyes. And through the instrument of my eyes, it is reduced into images. And an images is not as real as the original. And therefore, the experiencer who lends reality to existence is Satya. Any object of experience has a lower order, any object of experience has a lower order of reality compared to the subject. Throughout Vaitatya and throughout the rest of our life, remember one thing, experience does not prove reality. Then what is reality? The experiencer is real. We have learned many Karikas so far, but Karika number 6 is very important. Karika number 6 and Karika number 12 that we are going to study today. Adau ante cha yad nasti vartamane api tattar. That which is not there before, like a rainbow, that which is not going to be there afterward, and that which is beautiful, which I can see now, even though I can see, I have to take it as unreal. Whatever is impermanent, this is Gaudapada's chart, which is not there in all 3 periods of time. If something disappears when I go off to sleep, that is called mithya. Whereas I, the observer who knows I have slept well, is true. Whatever is permanent is satyam. Both Jagrat and Swapna Prapancha are impermanent, and both are equally impermanent. Difficult to believe. Now, throughout Gaudapadacharya, we'll take various Purva Pakshis. A Purva Pakshi is not strictly a student. A student of Vedanta has Shraddha. He will not question the teacher like an opposition leader can question the government. Here, the opposition leader has an equal status. He can question. And a Purva Pakshi has got an equal status with the Siddhant, and he can directly ask. So the Purva Pakshi says, see, this world is tangible. This world is unique. This world is useful. I can transact. Unlike in the dream world, this is so clear. It is not only that I will see, others will also see. So whatever Purva Pakshi has, the Siddhantam, that is Gaudapadacharya, and in Shankara Bhashyam, will give you very convincing reasons to say why, although there are differences between the dream world and the real world, we are not going to question the differences. There are differences. But one thing we are saying, that the dream world and the waking world are similar in that both of them are not real. I have spoken about this before. I will stress it now because in today's class it becomes important. What is Drishti Srishti Vada? Now, we all live in 2 prapanchas. One is the Jagrat Avastha, where we live in the Jagrat Prapancha, and in the Swapna Avastha, we live in the dream world. We are told again and again, but both the prapanchas are mithya. That means they are not so real. That means they are fake. Just like a 500 rupee note or a 100 rupee note, but both are fake. Which is valuable? When it is fake, it doesn't matter its denomination. Both of them are equally not authentic. What is our general convention? General convention is we go through our experience. We feel that this world is more real than the dream world. In fact, we give a new word for it. We call it Vyavahara Prapancha, and that is Pratibhasika Prapancha. So even though they may seem to be some gradation of differences, both of them are unreal. Swapna Prapancha is called a Drishti Srishti. Why? It exists because I see. If I don't see, Swapna Prapancha does not exist. So the Swapna Prapancha, I create the dream world, I sustain the dream world, and the whole world resolves into me. And because I see it, it is a Drishti Srishti Vada. So the Swapna Prapancha is called Drishti Srishti. When I wake up, I see this world with my sense organs and by mind. This world has been, I say that it has been created by God. This is the creation of God. So it is Srishti Drishti. I see because it exists. In Drishti Srishti, Srishti, it exists because I see, because I lend existence to the Drishti Srishti Vada. Now, both these prapanchas are unreal, but it is only the Paramarthika which is real, which we spoke on, Nantat Prajnam na Bashish Prajnam. In Mandukya, while we are studying, we need to entertain what is called Eka Jiva Vada and reduce both Pratibhasika and Vyavahara into one. Normally, we say Swapna Prapancha is Pratibhasika and it is called Drishti Srishti. And Jagrat Prapancha, we call it as Vyavahara. But here we call Jagrat Prapancha is also equally Pratibhasika because it is a world of experience. And we have reduced two into one. And therefore, although I see a world around me, I need to see that just like I project the dream world and I see it, so too in this world with I as Ishvara, I'm able to use my Maya Shakti to be able to project this unreal world. The whole of these Vaitatya Prakaranam is to understand this mantra, Asatoma Sadgamaya. Asat does not mean non-existent. Asat means seemingly existent or mithya. From this mithya world, let me come to Satya. And what do I use? That which is there in all three periods of time. The Sakshi is there in all three periods of time. That which is not an object of experience, but the observer, that is Satyam. With this background, let us go to the first Karika. All Karikas are important today. Karika 9 by Chetana, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Gaudapada, in his Karikas, is establishing the fact that whatever is impermanent is unreal or mithya. Whatever is permanent alone is satyam or real. And whatever is an object of experience is mithya. Yad drishyam tat mithya. Based on these criteria, Jagrat and Swapna Prapanchas are equally unreal because they are experienced, they are seen, and are not available in all three periods of time. Now, the Purva Pakshi accepts that Swapna Prapancha is unreal, but is not prepared to concede that Jagrat Prapancha is unreal. He defines reality and unreality in different ways to establish that Jagrat Prapancha is Satyam and Swapna Prapancha is Mithya. Gaudapada logically points out that such definitions will not work. He says all these definitions only prove relative reality, whereas we are working towards absolute reality or Satyam. So in Karika 5, Gaudapadacharya presents his first logic, which states that whatever is seen or experienced is unreal. Therefore, sleep and waking state are similar because they are seen or experienced. Second logic presented in the sixth Karika states that any entity that was not there in the beginning and in the end, then it is not there in the middle too, like mirage water. This should be applied to the rope too because they have a beginning and an end. Then in Karika 7, the Purva Pakshi objects, saying that waking objects have a purpose or utility, whereas dream objects have no utility value. Gaudapada says, dream objects have no purpose in the waking world, but they have a purpose in the dream world. And the reverse is also true. Waking world food will not satiate your dream hunger and vice versa. So both are unreal. Now we should keep in mind, purpose or utility value of objects is not the criteria for proving any object to be real or unreal. Anything seen or experienced and has a beginning and end and is the only criteria for an object to be real or unreal. Then in Karika 8, Purva Pakshi still insists that you cannot equate dream with waking world, as the objects seen in dream are unique or apurva and so are not real, whereas waking objects are real. Again, Gaudapada refutes this by saying apurvam sthani dharma. Uniqueness or oddness of an object is according to the seer of that state. In dream, these weird objects seem normal. We see weirdness only on waking up. So we should not use waking logic for dream objects. Again, remember, dream objects are unreal not because they are unique or odd. Dream objects are unreal because they are experienced and impermanent. Now, there may be grades of falsity, but something does not become real depending upon its grade of falsity. Suppose you are in your dream, you imagine a rope to be a snake in your dream, okay? Now here, there are two levels of falsity. The imagined snake that you see in the dream is at a higher grade of falsity, or it is more false than the rope which is seen in the dream. But from a waking standpoint, both are equally false. Dream itself is a superimposition, and within that superimposition, you are seeing another superimposition. We may think they have different levels of reality, but no, they have different levels of falsity. Both are false. The same concept is there for a dream within a dream. In your dream, you are sleeping and seeing another dream. This second dream is more false than the first dream, but that does not make the first dream real. Both are false. Dream itself is false, and within that dream, you create two levels. One is Sat and the other Asat, but both are unreal. Now, if this concept is understood, then the ninth Karika becomes a little clear. Swapna avrata api tvanta chetasa kalpitam tvasat bahis-cheto grahitam saddrishtam vaitatyam etayo. Here, Purya Pakshi gives a different definition for reality. He says, Swapna is unreal because it is only a mental projection existing within oneself. The Jagrat Prapancha, however, is real because it exists outside us and is not a mental projection. Therefore, according to him, externality is the criteria for the reality and internality is the criteria for unreality. Gaudapada argues that when we say the dream world is inside, the word inside is a relative term because it is inside only from the standpoint of the waker. When we are in dream, we are doing all the transaction within the dream. And so from the standpoint of the dream body, the dream world is very much outside. Dreams are understood as dreams only when we wake up. But the dream itself is a waking state when we are actually in dream. And from the standpoint of the Swapna Shariram, the dream world is outside the body. Thus, from the dreamer's standpoint, the dream world is outside and real. But from the waker's standpoint, the dream world is within and unreal. Only on waking up do we say the dream world is unreal. As Swamiji says, for a dreamer, the dream is not a dream during dream. It is very real. Gaudapada says, same is the case with the Jagrat Prapancha also. As long as we look at the world from the standpoint of the Jagrat body, the Jagrat Prapancha is outside. And so we can say it is real. Shankaracharya in his Bhashyam says, Swapna avrita api, even in the dream state, antaha chetasa kalpitam, that which is imagined by the mind itself, inside, without any external input, but in the same dream, bahis-cheto grihitam, what is seen outside through the dream senses is real. So even in the dream state, the Purva Pakshi makes two distinctions. What are they? Whatever is imagined by the dream mind is unreal, and whatever is seen by outside by the dream senses is real. Like superimposition of snake on the rope in the dream or seeing a dream within a dream. Here the rope is seen by the dreamer's eyes. So you think the rope is real, but the snake is imagined by the dreamer's mind. So it is unreal. But the fact of the matter is both the snake and the rope are false. Why? Because both are seen, they are objects of experience. The entire dream is false, but you have created a Sat-Asat distinction in this false world. It is false because immediately after analysis in dream, it has vanished within the dream. Etayo Vaitatyam, both are unreal. And when do you realize this? When you wake up. In the dream, you say the snake was not real, but the rope is real. But on waking up, you realize the rope was not real too. So both are false. Same logic will be applied to the waking world in Karika 10. So in conclusion, externality and internality is not the criteria. Impermanence is the only criteria for unreality. Permanence is the only criteria for reality. Anything that exists in all three periods of time and is not an object of experience is Satyam. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chetna, for a nice explanation of Karika number 9. Karika number 9 and 10 are almost very similar. We will have a discussion after Dr. Sanjay presents Karika number 10. Dr. Sanjay, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Gaudapada is arguing from the verses 4th onwards that this world is nothing but an illusion, just like the dream. There is no real world at all. Everything is imagined, Kalpitam Jagat or Mithya Jagat. This whole chapter is an explanation for the term appearing in the 7th mantra, Prapanchopashamam, meaning that the world is not real at all. Though the dream world can be easily dismissed as unreal, how can one agree with Gaudapada's statement that this Vaka's world is also unreal? Hence, the objector in me comes up with these questions, and the Gaudapada tries to answer the questions of the objector. Here, the objector comes out with 5 definitions to prove that this world indeed is real. That is utilitarian of the Jagrat world, familiarity or uniqueness versus strangeness of the dream world, externality lends reality to this world, objectivity and clarity. Of this, we have already seen utility and the familiarity related to the Vaka's world in the previous verses. We are now dealing with the criterion of externality. So the verse number 9 and 10 are dealing with the criteria of externality, and verse number 9 we have already seen now. So this word is not real because it is outside of, this word is real because it is outside of my mind. That's what the Purva Pakshi thinks. And I consider the thoughts which are arising in my mind as unreal. And since the dream is inside me, I consider it as unreal. Whereas the Jagrat Prapancha is very much real. But in verse number 9, Gaudapada says that in dream also, the dreamer thinks that what is inside in his dream mind is unreal, but the dream world which is outside is real. So only upon waking up from the dream, he realizes that both were unreal. Now, extend the same thing to the Jagrat Prapancha, and that is dealt with in the verse number 10. Jagrat Vrittavapi tu antaha Cetasa kalpitam tvasat Bahishcheto gruhitam sat Yuktam vaitathyametayoho. Gaudapada says, Jagrat vrittau api, in the waking state also, tu antaha cetasa kalpitam. What is imagined within by the mind, to asatu, is considered illusory. Bahihi chetaha gruhitam, what is experienced outside by the mind, appears to be sat, is real. But etayo, both these in fact, when rationally held, yuktam, vaitatyam, they are both unreal. So the meaning is, in the waking state also, what's imagined within by the mind is considered illusory, and what is experienced outside by the mind appears to be real. But both these, in fact, should be rationally held to be equally unreal. Now, fundamentally, one makes a mistake in all these definitions because they are all made from one standpoint, that is, Vaka standpoint, and then we relate it to other standpoints. Now, this is beautifully explained by Swamiji with the help of that drunk person's joke, wherein the bar owner makes the same mistake He is in one state, whereas the drunkard is in another state. So the same thing applies to us when we try to make this mistake all the time by giving reality to the Vekas world. So in order to realize that this Vekas world is also unreal, one has to wake up to a higher reality. Whether the higher reality or the lower reality, it will always be a relative reality. So then what is absolute reality? Absolute reality is me, the unqualified Turiyam, who is the witness of all the states. That's the absolute reality. From this standpoint alone, I can dismiss the experienced world as unreal. Anything that is experienced is not the reality. Experiencer alone is the reality, who gives existence to this entire experienced world. Experiencer minus the experience is the reality. This is the declaration of the scriptures and of the realized people. Thank you. Hariyu.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay, for a nice explanation of Karika number 10. What do we study from all these? You will remember Swami Vivekananda's message, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapyavaran Nibodhata. Awake, arise, stop not until you have accomplished. Now we have woken up from the dream and we have come to this world. Now we need to wake up from this world also. So these two Karikas are talking, while you are in dream, you know it is unreal because it's a mental projection. Whenever something is a mental projection, we call it drishti srishti vada. When you come into this waking world, we see a world that is outside and we see it through our sense organs. And we know this is not a mental projection compared to a dream. I'm seeing it, and therefore it is called srishti drishti vada. In these two Karikas, Gaudapadacharya has very clearly told us, even in the dream world, the dream objects appear outside. And therefore, for a dreamer, the dream is not a dream during dream. Exactly the same thing we feel, but when you see from a person who is spiritually awoken to the state of understanding, I am Atma Brahma. That is why the second mantra of Mandukya goes through that Mahavakya, which we need to remember all the time, that I am not this body, mind, but I am Atma. And from that perspective, the world is only within me. I as consciousness, the entire Jagrat Prapancha, the entire Swapna Prapancha is within me. I am Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, my Sarvam Pratishtitam, my Sarvam Layam Yati. Remember in Dakshinamurti Stotram, Yat Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanam Eva Advayam. I see no duality once I wake up, because this whole world is within me. We now come to a very important Purva Pakshi question. Karika number 11 by Vidya Prabhu, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In this 11th verse, there is a question raised by a disturbed student. The Upanishad time and again tells us that Jagrat Prapancha is also like the Sapna Prapancha. Both have a relative reality. The question asked by this Purva Pakshi is, if whatever we see and experience is dismissed as relatively real, then what is eternal or the absolute? The Vedantins' answer here is, if God is perceived, a perceived God is also a relative reality. The 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th verses of Kenopanishad ends with the refrain, Nedam Yadim Upasate. For certain, Brahman is not what people worship. The Upanishadic truth is, Brahman cannot be objectified. The problem here is, what I see and experience is non-eternal. Then what is eternal? I'm never able to imagine, because whatever I imagine is within time and space. The inventions of scientists, the mystic experiences, etc., all fall under non-eternal because they fall within time and space. Then the next question is there something eternal at all which can be termed as absolute reality? This is what we see in this verse. Ubhayorapi vaitatyam bhedanam stanayorati ka etan बुध्यते भेदान को वै तेषान भेदान को वै तेषान विकल्पतः Upayoho sthana. The student is asking here, you're dismissing everything which is obtained in the sapna and jagrat prapancha as mithya. Bhedanam means the thing or the padarthas. Where are these things? Upayoho sthanayoho. Upayoho sthanayoho, things obtaining in jagrat as well as sapna avastha. Everything is vaitatyam. It is a relative reality. Relative reality is a euphemistic term for unreality. Example here is, a developing country is a euphemism for an undeveloped country. Vyavaharika satyam is a nice word for mithya. When sapna prapancha is being dismissed as unreal, then we are dismissing not only the object but also the observer's subject. The sapna pramata and prameyam both are dismissed. Taijasa and sukshma prapancha is being dismissed. Similarly, when jagrat prapancha is being dismissed, we are dismissing both the stula prapancha as well as the jagrat pramata, Vishwa, the waker. If Vishwa, the waker, is false, stula prapancha is also false, Taijasa is also false, Sukshma prapancha is also false. If both the world and I am in the world are also false, then what is real? Therefore, he says, Kaha Teshan Vikalpataha. Who is the projector of this universe? Who is the Adhishtanam of Mithya? Because whatever is Mithya requires a Satya Adhishtanam. A changing reality requires a changeless substratum. Can we talk about the changes without having a changeless substratum? Therefore, this question, Kaha Vai Teshan Vikalpataha. Who is the projector of that? We can say waker, projector of the dream world. If this waking world itself is a projection, the question here is, who is the projector of this world? Ko vai buddhyate. Who is the knower, the experiencer of this relative universe? What is the substratum? Which is the absolute reality? This is the question for which Gaudapadacharya is going to answer in the next verse, which is a very important verse after the significant sixth verse of this chapter, Vaitratya Prakaranam. Thank you, Shri Guru Namaha.
Thank you, Vidya, for giving us an explanation of Karika 11, which is a question, as I told you, by a Pura Paksha. A Pura Paksha is not considered to be like a Shraddha student. A Pura Paksha is in some way and from an opposition party who can attack the Siddhanta. He has certain amount of powers, and therefore he stands on his own feet and says, see, what you are saying is not acceptable. You cannot say that this world is unreal. Dream world is unreal, I can accept, but this world cannot be real. Now, if you go on negating everything that you see, but I'm seeing, there must be somebody who's projecting. There is somebody who's seeing. Can you clarify that? Who is projecting and who is seeing? Supposing you say there is nobody projecting, then it becomes a different kind of vada called a Shanika Vidya Vada, the Buddhist philosophy that there is nobody who's projecting. If you say there is someone who's projecting and someone who's seeing, that means there is a Lord who's projecting and I am seeing, then we come to Dvaita. So both these you cannot have so he has got a very genuine question. Okay, you have dismissed everything. Verily, reluctantly, I accept. But then there is somebody who's projecting. You cannot project and you cannot see at the same time. Now, who is the projector of this world? Who is the experiencer of the world? I need a very convincing answer. The convincing answer comes from Karika number 12, which is a very important Karika, which will be explained by Shri Shiv Kumar Yadalam. Shiv, please.
Hayo, Shri Guru Namaha. By forgetting my real nature, I convert life into a burden. By remembering my real nature, I convert life into a blessing because I can claim my glory. The second chapter establishes the mithya status of the world and is called Vaitatya Prakaranam, as we all know. The central principle of the second chapter is conclusion. The dream world is known to be mithya. The waking world should also be concluded to be mithya. The question is, Is Vedanta discrediting and not giving importance or value for the world and worldly life? We should know that Vedanta never discredits the world and worldly life. Vedanta's first aim is to reveal our higher nature, which is Turiyam Brahma. Then it reveals status of the world from the standpoint of the higher nature. From that standpoint, the world is mithya, and it can never disturb me, my higher nature. Regarding this topic, the objector raises a question. Suppose the objects in both the waking and dream states are mithya, then who is the projector of the waking world? Who is the supporter or adhishtanam, and who is the knower and experiencer of the waking world? Gaudapada answers these questions in this verse 12. The sixth verse, as Doctor has mentioned, and we have already studied, is important. Similarly, this 12th verse is also a very important verse. The verse goes like this: Kalpayat atmanatmanam atma deva swamayaya saeva buddhyate vedan iti vedantha nischayah. Next slide, sir. In this verse, Gaudapada says that the absolute reality is you, the observer, the consciousness principle, which is present in all the three states. When the relative reality is passing or changing, in and through the changing reality, changing relative reality, only I, the consciousness principle, am permanent. Who is this I? If I, the consciousness principle, identifies with the body, then I am only a waker, a Vishwa, a temporary relative reality. When dream comes, the waker I passes away. Even as dream world goes away, I continue to be there in sleep. When I look at myself without identifying with the body, then that is the consciousness principle. Even when the body dies, the consciousness will remain. Consciousness with relationship is called ahankara. Ahankara, I, and is an empirical reality. That relationship-less, objectless consciousness is called Sakshi I, and that I alone is the absolute reality, and this is called Turiyam or Atma. The seventh mantra of Mandukya describes this Turiyam aptly. Nanta pragnam, na bahish pragnam, no bhayat pragnam, and so on. Which means I, the Turiyam, am absolute reality, and I am not Vishwa or Taijasa or Pragna. This is what is known as the fourth or Turiyam. This is the Atman, and it has to be realized by us sadhakas. Being the absolute reality and to remain in a green room is boring. So I put on the Vesham of Vishwa or Taijasa or Pragna with the Maya Shakti and play the role of a father, son, brother, etc., etc. I should play the role well, but mind you, when the drama becomes serious and leads me to forget that I am an actor, I must return back to the green room and recall that I am only an actor. And the green room is the study of our Vedantic scriptures, study of Mandukya Upanishad, to again remind us and bring us back that I am Turiyam. Coming to this verse, Bhagavad Gaudapada says, Atma Deva Kalpayati. I am the Turiyam alone, have got the power called Maya. And when I choose to operate through Maya, I become Karana Ishvara or Pragna. As Pragna Ishvara, I create Jagrat Prapancha and become a Vishwa. I create Swapna Prapancha and become Taijasa. Therefore, when I handle Maya as Pragna, I create Vishwa and Taijasa. When you set aside Maya, I am Turiyam. Therefore, he says Atma Devaha. Devaha here means Chaitanyam. Atma Kalpayat Atmana. I, the Atma Kalpayataha. Just as I project a dream world with the help of my own vasanas out of myself without any external raw material, where I am the subject, I am the object, and I am the instrument too, just as in a dream. Here, Gaudapadacharya says that not only in a dream, but I create this entire universe, this world also. Therefore, in Jagrat Prapancha, I create this body, I identify with this body, and enjoy this world. In Swapna Prapancha, I create another body and enjoy the Swapna. How do you do all this? Swamayaya. When I operate through that creative power that I have called Maya, I am Saguna Ishvaraha. Swamiji raises an important point at this stage. If we were to ask, how do I know this Turiyam? He says, the moment I try to know, I become the Pramata. Whatever I use is a Pramanam, and whatever you wish to know is Prameyam. And this will be only a relative truth. Bhagavad Gaudapada made a startling revelation that whether an ordinary or extraordinary or mystic experience of the nature of any of the 14 lokas or worlds will be a relative reality or empirical reality only, a Vyavaharika Satyam or Mithya. Then, what is the absolute reality? As asked in the 11th verse. When you don't use any instrument of knowledge, that is senses, then you will not have any particular experience. Then what is left? Swamiji strongly warns us here, do not say nothing. The first reason is that depending on the type of instrument, I experience the world to be a reality. It is as interpreted by the instrument and not an objective truth. If I look at the world with my eye alone, I will see a world of color and shapes. If I use my ears only, then it will be a world of sound. Then what is reality? To experience a world without interpretation or reality, relative reality. I repeat, to experience a world without any interpretation or relative reality, I must switch off all the instruments of knowledge. This will result in no experience of the world at all. The second reason is the very existence of the world depends upon the perceiver or pramata of this world. That is the illuminator of the absence of all particular experiences. The illuminator is the Turiyam and is available all the time, whether the role is Vishwa or Taijasa or Pragna. How do we know this? Bhagavad Gaudapada affirms, iti Vedanta Nischyaha. You use Vedanta Pramanam, which tells us when you look at yourself, the consciousness principle, without being a knower of something, you are the consciousness or Turiyam. Hence, I was, I am, and I ever will be Turiyam, the absolute status playing the role of Vishwa or Taijasa or Pragna. Now, how do I create this world? The answer to this is in the next verse, that is 13th verse. Vikarotya paran bhavan antaschitye vyavastithan niyatamscha bahischittah evam kalpayathe prabhu. The Atma projects the mundane dream or objects which are present within the mind. In the same manner, it projects well-defined objects also with an outward mind. Next slide, sir. Gaudapada Acharya says, I, the Atma, create two types of worlds, an internal dream world and an external world of waking with the help of two types of Shakti. Both these worlds function only when the mind is working. Hence, using only the mind instrument, I, the Turiyam, with Maya Shakti or Prajna, create both the external and internal worlds. When the mind is extrovert and operating the sense organs, it is Jagrat Prapancha. With an extrovert mind, with the help of Maya Shakti, the Atma projects objects in the waking state, which appear to last longer. Thus, the creation comes into being. In our mind, there are vasanas, impressions of the past actions. When the mind is introvert and not operating the sense organs, these vasanas are activated by Atma using Nidra Shakti to project or create dreams. In an introvert mind, one can live in their own world. Dreaming is possible both in sleep as well as in waking state also, when the mind is extrovert and operating the sense organs open to Jagrat Prapancha. This is what we normally term as daydreaming. Turiyam or Chaitanyam is the common observer in both the cases, as it illuminates both the internal and external worlds. If I remain purely as an illuminator without relationships, then only I am Turiyam. But the moment I identify with those experiences and say, I am happy, I am sad, I am angry, I am a father, etc., I have fallen into the trap of relationships, and as a result, I slip from Turiyam to Vishwaha. If I relate to the dream world, I become Taijasa. If it is only without any relationships, I am relationless illuminator Turiyam. In the verse, Prabhu Kalpayate, Prabhu means the all-powerful Atma, the consciousness principle, which with the Maya Shakti creates Aparan Bhavan, an internal world of dream objects, and this is Pratibhasika Satyam or subjective reality. Antaschitte Vyavastithan, they were all existing as vasanas, recorded in our subconscious mind from experiences of this as well as our previous janmas. Vikaroti, Atma chooses to project them in Swapna Prapancha. Vahischitta, extrovert mind. Niyatan Vikaroti, Atma projects Jagrat Prapancha, which appears to last relatively longer compared to the dream world. The introvert mind drops the vasanas, or vasanas go into a dormant state. The mind becomes extrovert and begins to function through the sense organs. It is important to note that both Jagrat Prapancha and Swapna Prapancha are created by one and the same Atma with the help of Maya Shakti. And the product of Maya is only a relative reality. Therefore, Swapna Prapancha is real only when I am an introvert, and Jagrat Prapancha is real when I am an extrovert. So, evam. In this manner, Atma and Turyam is the Atma or Turyam is the creator. A Gnani who knows that he is Turyam, he will say, I am Ishvaraha. Let me conclude with the 19th shloka of Kaivalya Upanishad. Mayeva sakalam jatam mayi sarvam pratishtitam mayi sarvam layam yati tad brahmadvayam asmayam. In me alone is born, in me alone does everything exist, and in me alone everything gets dissolved. And I am that non-dual Brahman. Friends, it is important for us to note and remember always that the meaning of the word I is Turyam and not Vishwa or Taijasa. Hari Om and Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you very much, Shiv, for a very convincing answer to that Purva Pakshi's question. The Purva Pakshi had one very strong question. Very reluctantly, he was able to accept that this world is not so real. But then he says, I have a genuine reason, but I'm experiencing this world. If you negate the experiencer, me, and if you negate the whole world that I'm experiencing, there must be somebody who is projecting this world. There is somebody who's experiencing this world. And as you rightly said, it is given in the answer, that important answer, Nantat Prajnam, is, you should remember, all along Gaudapadacharya has been answering any doubts that comes through yukti or logic. When it comes to this question, he says, I have to use Vedanta. Vedanta Nischaya. What does Vedanta say very convincingly? It is Turiya. It is you, the observer. You, not this body, not this mind, but that witness, that Atma in all of us has the ability to project this whole world, has the ability to experience the whole world. Now, how do I project the whole world and how do I experience this whole world? That seems very strange. Then the teacher says, you do the same thing in dream also, no? In dream also. So I as Atma, kalpayate Atmana Atmanam. I project a world outside. That is why, just like the dream, this is called Drishti Srishti Vada. The answer, the 12th verse, is speaking about Drishti Srishti Vada. In the dream, I project through my vasanas and I create a dream world. Just like Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, I alone am the creator. I alone am the sustainer. I have two kinds of Shaktis. One is during sleep, that is called Nidra Shakti, to create a dream world, a Drishti Shrishti Vada in the dream. And when I come into this waking world, I have another ability that is called Maya Shakti. And Swa Mayaya, through my own Maya, I'm able to create this world. And again, that fellow is still looking at you. But how do you know this? How do you say this with Iti Vedanta Nischaya? This has come through Vedantic knowledge. Up till there, you can go through various logical answers. But then if you have Shraddha, and if the Vedas say, you are that limitless conscious existence. I know I am conscious, I know I am existent. When you say I know I am conscious, I know I am existent. But I don't know I am Atma Brahma. I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So where Vedas say you are Anantam, then I have to say I am that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma who has the ability to project the world and who entertains himself by watching this world. This is an important mantra, and the 12th one was an explanation and elaboration of the same thing. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you, Hitesh sir, and all speakers of the day for a wonderful session. Thank you, friends, for your active participation in this journey of Mandukya Upanishad. In response to our appeal, many of you have sent your Guru Dakshina. We are highly thankful to you. We request all those who have already remitted but not filled the Google form to do so. I repeat, only those who have not filled, so that we can issue receipts to you for the amount remitted. As repeatedly told, The entire amount thus received will be offered as our collective Guru Dakshina to our various Gurus. I must add that this decision of offering and amount of offering is purely voluntary. Coming Monday, that is on 5th of August, let's tune in for our session 38 of gift at 6:45 p.m. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you.